I just need you to be you, Dia. What are you drinking, by the way?
Water. The least exciting answer.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Spidertiff, and today we have a special guest, esports Dia. You may have seen him on the Apex Legends Global Series casting alongside me. I'm his play-by-play, he's my color, but we're gonna be breaking down all things Season 19, Conduit, and maybe what's to come in the future for Season 19. But if you guys haven't already, please make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's grow this thing, baby. All right, roll the interview. No, we really could.
What do you want?
We have nothing else to do besides watch Star Wars, watch rugby, which, by the way, I've only heard of that as like a sport, but apparently it's quite intense. And people will tackle you and you will get injured. So, yeah, good luck with that one. I guess that's a good point. We could talk about it because we did just get not only the cinematic trailer for Season 19 Ignite, we got the gameplay trailer, and we have a new legend, finally, Conduit. Support character. How do you feel about that?
I'm excited to get more support characters. I feel like the class is pretty underutilized, speaking from a competitive standpoint, and so putting more eggs in that basket doesn't seem like a bad idea to me. And I like the support class as a theory. I'm curious how Conduit will actually fit there, though.
That's the thing, is because I was really scared the moment I started hearing more about Conduit prior to the abilities being released. It was always like, is she a lifeline replacement? Oh, she's gonna replace Watson. And I'm like, do not touch my Watson. First off, do not mess with her, because at this point, when the abilities did get released, and we can kind of talk about that in a little bit, she heals shields, and that's exactly what Watson does, but it's a little bit different because Watson has the pylons, the fences, all of those things that kind of can help you bunker down a little bit and slow plays down. Conduit's more aggressive, which I think fits not only solo play, but competitive play a little bit better.
And there is an important distinction here that makes her sort of a lifeline Watson-esque thing. And in a conversation with the developers, they mentioned that Conduit's healing of your shields can be interrupted by damage temporarily, much in the same way as Lifeline's Doc robot is. And so, like you are blending those two, whereas Watson is constantly healing, right? It doesn't matter whether she's taking damage or not, as long as you have the pylon, you're getting
Here
healed.
are the abilities, by the way. The passive, save your speed. Conduit gets a speed boost when running towards enemies out of the range of her tactical. The tactical ability, blast your ally with energy, regenerating temporary shields for them when in danger. This can heal a red shield from empty to full if not interrupted. Okay, crazy. Sure, just give her everything, why don't you? Ultimate ability, deploy an array of shield jammers which damage and slow enemies. These damage shields are flesh health. Jammers can be destroyed by enemies and are deployed in a line. Now, have you caught any of the gameplay of her actually utilizing the passive, tactical, or ultimate by chance?
Yes, I haven't seen the tactical indicator. I have seen the ultimate indicator.
Yes, same. I think Lulu Lovely posted it. She was like, this is Conduit's ability. It was in the firing range. She shot it on some dummies and it was just ticking for 10, 10, 10, 10. And I was like, do you know how damaging this ultimate alone could be when paired correctly with maybe something other? You think of like Horizon ulting and then maybe like a fuse, or like Horizon ulting and like a bang. So you're like sucking them into a small space and then throwing something else onto them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think about the coupling of the powers. But the passive alone, I think it was Otter, basically said that speed boost is infinite. There is no like range, and you could take detours.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's not linear. It's like the general direction. Like, are they north?
Yeah.
To get a speed boost going. Wow.
It's supposed to be similar to how Bangalore's like double time passive is. So that would be essentially the speed from my understanding. Granted, hey, once again, didn't get to play it early. These are all just speculations. So basically, let's say you and I and someone else are playing ranked right now. Yeah. I am off doing whatever I do is Conduit, overextending by nature, of course. You decide that you're gonna fight someone like randomly rats on you. Next thing you know, I need to run back, and there's 100 meters between us because God knows where I went. I don't know either.
Yeah.
Saw something shiny. So essentially, I can take detours, look for flanks, as long as I'm heading in your general direction, from my understanding. And that alone is crazy.
Yeah, that is really crazy. And I do wonder how they've change that? Because you remember, Bangalore's passive speed actually feels pretty inconsistent when you're getting it. Sometimes, a bullet will hit you, sometimes it zooms right by, and then suddenly you get a burst of speed. I wonder if they're going to do the same thing with Conduit, or whether there'll be a very clear indicator of when you get a burst of speed, so that you can control that a little bit more than just having it thrust upon you.
I guess we'll find that out on Tuesday, because I'm genuinely curious about that. Because at first I was like, well, how fast, how far? And if there's no actual range from what I'm seeing, that is crazy. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't expect to see, if we see this in competitive, if someone breaks out Conduit, some mastermind like Raven decides they know exactly how to utilize Conduit and the best team capability, what that would look like. But just imagine, you know how we were watching the dojo gameplay and like Designful's always way out in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah.
He'd be the one on Conduit that's just like, don't worry, help is on the way, just full sprinting back to the team.
Okay, so the tactical, I'm not sure of exactly the range. It looks pretty generous, honestly. A couple of meters, maybe, I'm gonna say 15, seems like around where it would be based on the gameplay trailer. And the big thing about that is that it's going to give her a nice amount of flexibility with the speed, as you talked about, right? Because it's pretty easy to actually get a tactical off in the middle of combat.
Yep.
However, with this ability, a lot like Lifeline, she doesn't seem like your sort of entry fragger. I don't think you can really play Conduit to her fullest and also do it hyper aggressively. Although her tactical does apply to her as well.
That's the thing I was going to say. It heals her shields as well. And my thing is, how much are the temporary shields going for? Is it just to the armor that you have? Let's say you took a little bit of damage, it's just going to heal your shield from empty to full, or will it extend out similar to kind of how Revenant's ult is? Kind of overheal you a little bit. But then I think that would almost be too strong. Way too crazy strong. So it can't be that, right?
I have gotten it confirmed that it's not that.
Perfect. I was gonna say, bro, if we're getting more like minions of Revenant shadows, I am out. It's already hard enough for me to try and take down a Revenant because he's glowing red and just crazy. I can't.
That is an interesting question, though. I wonder if her shield heal applies to Rev ultimate shield. Probably not, but they are both shields.
That is true. I mean, technically, but for the ultimate that deploy an array of shield jammers which damage and slow enemies, the slow in the trailer looked like it would be incredibly annoying to go up against. The width of it actually looked like a good chunk of space.
It does. I've pulled up the video that you referenced now, and what really concerns me is the canisters that go off screen.
Why are they green like caustic? Why are they green like caustic?
Like, how far does that go? Because this is just like a very scary wall, and how much HP these things have is really going to matter, because otherwise this ability is just insane, like bonkers ability.
Well, just think of all the teams that are bunkered down. You know, they play zone, they have a building, all of that. You launch one of these inside and it does give you the marker indicators of where you're throwing this. Now, I start to think about things like that, and I've heard people talk about like M&K legends versus controller legends, but I throw that out the window because we saw Verholst playing Catalyst, a controller legend that requires a lot of work to be able to control via reinforcing doors, throwing up the walls. Someone's going to be able to pick this up with ease, even if you're controller or M&K. So I'm not going to start that debate, but supposedly it's quite easy to use. And especially her tactical, you don't have to lock on. From my understanding, it like insta-finds your teammates and plugs it. You don't have to aim it.
That's really good. So actually, you talked about Verholst. Can we talk about Conduit and competitive? Do we want to open that?
I think there's someone that will eventually pull her out. I don't know who's going to start it. I think someone's going to break it. I mean, clearly we saw people pick up Lifeline. Now, granted, that was just a wild card pick, but when we saw Lifeline in competitive, she was so incredibly strong and well used. Now, granted, I mean, you just think of Slayers right off the rip. Known to pull out Lifeline, has won solo games with Lifeline at the end. But Conduit is a completely different legend. And I like that you brought up the point where she's very strong as an aggressive support, if that makes sense.
I think one of the interesting things that we can touch on with Conduit is sort of how she'll fit into a team composition, because famously in the ALGS, legends that should be good or that you might otherwise think would have presence don't, because you have to give something else up for them.
Yeah.
And so I want to ask you, Tiff, where you see Conduit fitting? Who are you replacing with Conduit right now?
Look, that's what I have been thinking, because with the Storm Point changes, you have Watson's pylon coming over where Antenna was, and it's a lot more vertical. So I'm still going to want Horizon as my entry fragger or even a cleanup fragger position. So I want to keep Horizon in the mix of things for the verticality, for that nonsense. But like, to put Conduit on there, she's going to have to be there to be kind of a refragger or maybe someone to help out. I don't think we need to necessarily delineate roles, but think of someone that's going to assist that Horizon legend or that Bangalore fragger, even though rest in peace, Bangalore, I heard your nerfs are atrocious, and I'm a little nervous to see what happens on Monday and how that goes in effect. Sorry, Shiv.
I think you still have to run Catalyst.
Yeah.
We should start talking about the patch notes so that we understand where Catalyst is going to be at. But I don't think that Conduit is going to be able to replace that, even though she has incredible capability as an anchor, much like Catalyst does.
Yeah, because I mean, like, Seer's been done and dusted out of the picture. We've seen people picking like Bang Valk, Bang Horizon Cat, but I'm like, it could be Horizon Conduit Cat.
Okay, sorry. So, first thoughts on new Stormpoint.
Yeah.
My favorite part of this is Cedo Station. Pylon, Antenna, I don't know. That's a weird, awkward place on the map, and Pylon isn't going to make it a whole lot better. Cedo Station actually changes a whole lot of game endings. Like, how many ALGS endings have we actually seen in that exact area, right around Jurassic, right around Mill, and centered all on this, like, really important rotation for a lot of teams?
There's going to be a lot of them, especially because that's north of where teams had deemed Bean. It used to be Jurassic Island or Prowler Island per se, not necessarily Jurassic. I called it Prowler Island. It's Cedo Station. There's plenty of loot. A lot of teams are going to be looking to land there and immediately try to contest for this. But you're right. The Mill, down Beast, we see so many teams rotating specifically through this, and knowing that you have heavy hitting teams taking Cascade Falls, you're just throwing a banger POI right between all of this action. That's going to be good. My only other issue that I have for new Storm Point is whoever decides to land High Point and still gets to retain Zeus Station, congratulations for you. But now you have to deal with the people at Lightning Rod, which is basically inside of Thunderwatch now. So the Thunderwatch team is potentially getting shafted here, and then Lightning Rod is right across the street. So how does that work? Because it's technically combined at this point. They're not even calling it Thunderwatch anymore. It's just Lightning Rod.
Yeah, this is removing a whole, I think, annoying area of play for a lot of devs. They looked at that and went, you know what? It is so inconvenient to get up to Lightning Rod, to actually finish a game in whatever little bubble buildings we have, to make it up that hill, that most of the game should be pulling us further down. Teams at Lightning Rod and Zeus Station should still have a good rotation, because they are going to be approaching from high ground, but I don't suspect that we'll see nearly as many end games from here. No.
I respect it. I think,
let's
say you have multiple teams from Cedo Station, from Barometer. We're all like rolling up through the Forbidden Zone, which sounds just like, Jurassic was so much kinder. I'm like, oh no, they're rotating through the Forbidden Zone. Like, how dare they? No, I can't. I'm going to chuckle so hard when that happens. But essentially, it does give you more area to work with. Now, when I look at the structure of these buildings that are inside the Forbidden Zone, you were mentioning the designer of Watson's Pylon kind of looking more like Monument. Well, this to me looks like Broken Moon outside of Promenade, especially where these 3 pills are on the left alongside these 2 towers. It is cut and paste from outside of Promenade on Broken Moon. So regardless, this building at least stayed the same, the little shack from Jurassic, the one lone standing original building. We finally finished year 3 ALGS. It was absolutely exciting. It was fun. We went to London a ton. Literally.
We did.
We pretty much, I had a room at the Copper Box Arena just on the back behind the stage, but this was your first time kind of going throughout the upper echelon of Apex Legends competitive, something that you've worked for a very long time. You put a lot of blood, sweat, tears, probably not blood, but a lot of sweat. I don't, hopefully no tears. Regardless,
hopefully no tears. You
absolutely slayed it. And so many people love and respect all that you bring. So how was it from your perspective being able to be an on-air talent?
I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that I didn't work on this for years and then actually do it and go, oh, that wasn't so good.
Oh.
You know, so at least I showed up and was like,
Yeah.
oh wow, this is totally worth it. And being on our talent for these events was really cool, especially because I attended champs last year as a fan along with you.
Same.
And
We were
then
there.
we both worked as champs, and that was crazy.
Yeah.
And I don't, it's just, I love this game so much, and I think that one of the best parts of being able to work on and just attend these LANs is being surrounded by other people like yourself who also love this game and love talking about it and the players and the intricacies of Apex Legends. And that's really like the biggest blessing, is being able to be around people who love this just as much as you do. All the people behind the scenes were incredibly welcoming, so thank you, Tiff, for that. And yeah, I would recommend the experience. I can't wait to maybe be back.
All right, so make sure you like, you subscribe to this YouTube channel. You go follow Dia. I put his Twitter on this screen. It's right over there. It's at Esports Dia. Hopefully we see him on Apex Legends Global Series Year 4. Hopefully we see me there, like, because that would be cool too. But until then, bye guys.
Bye.